All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our Monday night webinar. I'm Rochelle Wilhite, the designated broker of Best Choice Realty. We've got brokers from all over the state on the call tonight, so welcome everyone. We are going to go over tonight tips for adapting to a more balanced marketplace. We are going in that direction. So I'm going to speak to a few of the things that I've heard recently, and also I want to go back in time. And I pulled up some of the old stuff I had that I trained brokers back in 2009 and 10 as we started to enter that type of marketplace. So some of it's very relevant to today. I'll give you guys some of the tips that I'm hearing on that. We will also cover seller motivation because I'm finding a lot of you are canceling or having some seller remorse after you've done a lot of work. So I'm going to teach you a few tips on that and hopefully leave you with some good takeaways tonight. So thanks for jumping on. Let's go to the next slide. Keeping it really simple. As you guys know, we're going to keep this moving pretty fast. I talk very fast. So if you have a comment or a question, go ahead and use the chat and we will make sure that we check the chat, or some of your colleagues might actually reply to your questions as we go along tonight. How others are adapting. So some of your colleagues, they're adapting very well, actually. This marketplace is much more suited to buyer's agents than it is to seller's agents. But if you're good at both or you can adapt well, we are seeing brokers that maybe haven't done a lot of deals in 6 months, and all of a sudden they're putting up 2 or 3 transactions. So I know that if you adapt or if you can change some of your ways and you're open to change, you will be just fine. In fact, you'll do probably really well. I just talked to somebody in the office today and she said that she's having her best year probably ever. She's almost close to about 30 transactions. So I know that there's a lot to do out there in the marketplace. You just need to know what to consider. So we're going to talk about some questions to consider. And then also really keep your positive outlook. I think that that's infectious if you have a good attitude. No matter if you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market, your clients will see that you have a positive outlook and they will want to do business with you. So keep that focus when you're thinking about the change or the adapting to the change. So pricing, I think, is the elephant in the room. I'm just going to tackle just the 4 takeaways that I want to keep in mind. I am doing a Thursday class in Tukwila and also a Friday class on pricing. So Thursday's class is all about how to price. I'm also doing one in Spokane on Monday. So those of you who are on the east side, I'm going to be doing a live class on Monday on pricing. So Thursday in Tukwila, Monday in Spokane. And then I'm doing a listing presentation. I want to see some listing presentations on Friday. So things how to really talk about price. Do yourself a favor. Here are the top 4 things I'm seeing is really keep a keen eye on your active comparables around your subject. So when you're pricing, many of you are putting almost too much emphasis on the sold comparables, albeit, that was what an appraiser would use to appraise a property. But you probably, as the market starts to adjust, you may want to start looking at the active comparables. Linda and I worked in the 08 year, and I think one of the things that we learned back in 08 was that you actually had to use actives in order to do your proper pricing. Even when you were trying to get like a resale sold in comparison, say there was 10 other homes in your neighborhood on the market, you really had to look at those active comparables closely, and that is the case even to today. Really look at what's going on in the marketplace with your actives. The market will reject. That's what will happen. It's not you. The market will reject the overpriced properties and the right comparables will appear. So as you're doing your CMAs, think about that. Actives and pendings take on a heavier weight than sometimes the sold comparables in a particular neighborhood or marketplace. You need a price reduction strategy. If you have not considered that before you go to the listing appointment, be sure you have a listing amendment already created. We use that very, very much in the 2009, 10, 11 years, where we actually had a price amendment or a listing amendment already prepared. In fact, the BPOs, the short sales, the lenders that we work with, the foreclosure properties, the pre-foreclosure properties, the short sales, I've done all of that. And we always had a pricing reduction strategy. So we had something already created. If you do not have something and you're going on a listing presentation, you have a seller who's very resistant to go at what your price is, you have to have a listing amendment created, already pre-filled out. All you got to do is fill in the numbers, and that will often help you get the listing and also show that you're serious about getting it sold for them. You may want to consult with an appraiser. Some of you have reached out to me and said, I've got a really tricky one, Rochelle. This one has got waterfront, it's got a view, it's got this, or it's got that. You might want to consult with an appraiser, because the appraisers often are seen by the sellers as being more the authority, unlike the real estate brokers. I don't know how we get a bad rep, but sometimes we do. When the market starts to adjust, you may want to pick up the phone, have your appraiser give you maybe an adjustment factor. So if you are going to do a CMA, you can actually adjust your comparables to reflect like an appraiser would, or just have the seller. I could pay for an appraiser to come out and appraise the property. Commercial, could run you a couple $1,000s, but a residential appraisal could run you $500-600. It's well worth it in a market that's adjusting to have an actual appraisal done on the property if it's a really tricky one. So keep that in mind. You can also market with an appraisal too. Top 10 things that worked in the past that is also, I'm hearing, that's working now. What have you heard that is working? If you want to go ahead and put that in the chat, share with your colleagues, share with the agents on the call here. We've got about 30 some people on the call. Share what's working for you. If you have a quick little tip, go ahead and put that in the chat right now. But I've got what's I've heard is working and it worked in the past. So I'm gonna have Shannon go ahead and put that on the screen. Demonstrate when you're on a listing appointment or you're working with a buyer, you want to demonstrate your market knowledge and just showcase, especially if you're a listing, you could say, here are the 4 comparables that are on the market that went pending. Look at how they reduce their prices. When I list a property or when I list a house, I don't reduce my prices. I price at market. So if you can get your confidence level up, or you have some backing from your past that you can use, you can demonstrate your market sales success by showcasing what some of the others will do. Some of your other colleagues that are not with Best Choice will often reduce the price. When you price correctly, if you can showcase that, definitely demonstrate your market sales success with your prospective sellers. Second thing is survey buyers. Many of you can roll up your sleeves and you could ask a buyer what they desire in a home. In fact, you probably know because you've been actively showing them a lot of properties. Focus on those features. Share with your sellers what are the features that the buyers are really desiring in a home. And then don't feature dump, but share that demographic or showcase that, highlight those things that the buyers are looking for in your marketing remarks. Don't just feature dump. It drives me crazy when I just see it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, beautiful home in Seattle, master or primary bedroom on the main, and it's got 2 bathrooms that have been upgraded. Don't just feature dump. Tell me more about the property. Tell me about that buyer. What do they desire? How are you selling that property to that buyer that you maybe surveyed or that you have had interactions with? Next one, Shannon. Work other sources of your business. When the market started to correct and it became more of a seller's market, one of our newer brokers came to me. He was super frustrated. He said, Rochelle, what do I do? I've been a buyer's agent all my entire career. I think he was on year 3 of his business. And I said, you need to start picking up some listings because every single buyer was getting, he was getting bid out. He was not able to get a buyer and he's trying to feed his family. He's got, I think, a few kids that he had to make sure that they were in their sports and he had expenses. And he was like, I'm trying to make this a career. How do I shift? And I asked him to just take a listing. Well, now that I'm asking, now that the market's shifting in the other way and there's more buyers, you may want to consider other relocation angles. Maybe you want to do some BPOs. Maybe you want to promote referral sources. Maybe you want to do open houses and you haven't done open houses. Somebody just came in the office today and said that they had 9 buyers come through unrepresented through an open house. That's a source of business. And all those buyers are looking for an agent. So There are many buyers out there. 60% of the sellers if you're looking for sellers still, 60% of the sellers move within a very short radius. So you really have to network and really get to know the neighborhoods and circle prospect. But 40% actually relocate. So you may want to think about that as well. How do you get after that relocation market? How do you get after those buyers or those sellers that are looking to sell and not move very far away? You've got to be a market expert. Number 4, under contract and sold writers, get those out, put those on those signs, make sure that the closed cards or the marketing you're doing, let people know that you're doing business. If you're not doing business, trust me, your clients know that, or the people that are searching you out on the web, they're going to look for your closed client sales. They're going to look for people that can work both a buyer's market and a seller's market. They're going to work with somebody that's experienced. If you're not experienced, you're going to have to use the team's experience. You're going to have to use Best Choice Realty's experience. If you're going to go ahead and do a listing, you've never worked a neighborhood, you might want to reach out to your mentor or to me and say, hey, Rochelle, what kind of market statistics can you give me to showcase our brokerage experience in that particular area? There's a lot of things we can do to provide you with relevant statistics to help you. Number 5, the just sold 6-month campaign is bringing more activity. I just talked to somebody at John L. Scott, but that's working really well. And 2 other brokers in our office have also had very good success with a 6-month campaign to drive more activity to their website or to drive more business or prospects. So you might want to think about direct mail. You might want to think about how you build a campaign that's not just a quick one and done. You need something that's much more long-term. Number 6, make open houses a big production, more professional, more directionals. We do have kits. We are seeing the kits getting checked out, where you have like a little flag and you've got more open house and directionals. Lori's also sending out, our marketing director, where you can buy a kit like corrugated signs. You can have your own open house corrugated signs, and you can have your own kit. And that way you don't have to come by the office, stop by, pick up signs, although we'd love to see you. But you actually can have your own directional kit that will help you to drive more activity to those open houses. But my goodness, when you have 9 different clients come through, and each client, not all of them are going to buy from you, let's be realistic, but that could be a very, very big opportunity for some of you. Target areas, don't go too wide, narrow it down and then go more. So I'm hearing people say, I tried, a mail campaign. I had like 1,000 in my mail campaign. Everybody, all the coaches now are saying go less, but go more. So like if you're only dropping once a month, do twice a month, but maybe do less people. We are seeing that is working as well. And do a very positive campaign. Keep it really positive. Don't go with the fear. That's not working. The calendar to secure listings is working really big. There's a blank calendar you can get on our downloads in the resource website of bestchoicerealtyhomes.com. That's working really well to secure the listing. Show the process to your seller. Show them what you're going to do. Highlight when you're going to order the staging, when you're going to have the photographer. Assume the close. Assume the seller is going to work with you. And use that calendar as a way to secure that listing. So use that as a tool to help you win. So number 9. For sale by owner program, there are all kinds. This is actually was what we did back in 2010. For sale by owner program, you can go on to Zillow, Land Voice. There are other programs out there to work expireds, emails on a daily basis. Be much more thoughtful at your prospecting because it's taking more contacts to get more sales. So if you're just like, oh, things will just come to me, you may actually have to work, like Linda and I were talking about at the start of the meeting here. You will have to put in the time. You will have to make the calls and send the emails and do the text messages and do all of the things, because that's what worked when the market started to shift back in 2009 and 10 as well. So ask tons of questions to determine motivation. And that is the key to success when you're discussing, do I want to really work with this buyer? Do I really want to work with the seller? Because it is going to take more I guess, boots on the ground and hands on deck. We have to make sure that we determine motivation and we work with the right people. So I'm in a very comfortable position where I get to pick who I get to work with. You know, if my neighbor asked me to list their house, I'd say gladly, but some people that are going to take more of my time, I may choose not to pick that seller because it's going to be a lot more work, or they're not as motivated. So we're going to go over the motivation here, but those are the top 10 things I've heard is working. Motivated sellers is going to create more efficiencies for you and save you money and time. I am seeing way too many cancellations when it comes to listings right now, and we're not the only brokerage that's experiencing that. Other brokerages are experiencing that as well, but there are some ways that we can overcome that. Let's go to the next slide. I've got 15 minutes. There is cost of taking a listing. So I just kind of ballparked a $500,000 listing. And I highlighted staging because staging kind of becomes this kind of another elephant in the room, if you will, is it's going to cost you something. And this needs to be something that's discussed. What are you willing to put into the listing to take it and have it sell? There is a risk, high reward. But as you start to think about your listing, you got to think about each listing like a business, and there's an ROI associated with taking a listing. There are costs that are associated with taking a listing. I just ballparked a $500,000 listing. Would I maybe stage it? I may not, based on how much money I was going to take. A 3% commission is not going to be more than probably, you know, at the end of the day, $10,000. So do I want to spend $3,300 with a full stage? I may not want to, or I may want to have the seller pay for that. Again, you need to think about staging relative to what it's going to take to sell. You got to look at the competition. You got to see what's out there. Think of listing like I'm starting a business. I'm putting a sign up and I'm going to be getting people in. Now, if I know that the listing, if I have it fully staged and it's a beautiful listing, photographed, videographed, all of it, and it's going to bring in more business to me, my goodness, I'd take that $3,300 and put that money into that listing all day long. But that's one of those questionable items. It depends on the listing. It depends on the seller. It depends on the term of the listing. It depends on a lot of things because that is a bigger expense of all the things listed here. Definitely spend the money on photography. Definitely spend the money on videography. It's huge right now. I have a videographer that will charge me, I think, less than $1,000, but does a full, you know, getting me through video tour with COVID. People want to see the property. They want to get a tour of the property without having to go and actually physically tour it. So if we're going to attract the relocation segment of the marketplace changing, then videography is an expense that's worth taking. Photography, definitely. If you can save money on photography, I just gave you a ballpark. $500 is not bad. Sometimes you can get, you know, some videography with the photography, or like the drone shot included when you pay $500. Most of our photographers are actually less than that for just photography, but that's an expense that you do not want to avoid. Keybox, I started because it's a one-time fee. It's about $150, 110 maybe. I just kind of ballparked it because we work in a wide array of areas. Signage, it's also could be it might not be $150. It might be $100 if you already have your signs and you just have your installer install it. So there's ways to kind of get really, you know, I guess, guerrilla warfare tactics going with the key box and the signage and all of that. Warranty is something that's optional, but I like to include that, especially when you have people kind of questioning, especially when things are on the market for longer. When they know there's a warranty, they feel much more comfortable at offering. So you may want to consider that. Open house materials, flyers, that kind of, I kind of budget $500. So when you look at an expense of a couple $1,000s, that's potentially how much money you're putting into taking a listing, and then to have it cancel on you, that's loss of money, which is a loss of revenue, which is kind of a dagger to the heart, really, when you think about it. And then also your time and how much time you spend in doing the open houses and preparing everything. So think of your listing as a huge money maker for you, but there also is risk and high reward at taking a listing. Let's go to the next slide. So when I'm talking about listings, I also want to talk about watching out for some things. So let's try to avoid some cancellations. For sell by owners for more than 3 months, watch out for those. If they've been a for sale by owner and it's they've been trying it for themselves for 3 months, that's a red flag. In a good market, they should have been able to turn and get that done. If they're willing to wait for 3 months in the past 3 months, are they really motivated? That's the question. Don't pursue unmotivated for sale by owners. They will waste your time. You can view them, go out and meet them once, but don't continue to pursue them if they're not going to sign a contract with you. There are too many other people who you'll need to give your time and attention to. So don't overwork yourself with the for sale by owners. There are other areas of opportunity. Other things to watch out for are sellers who are vague about where they are planning to move to, when the property sells. If they're very vague, I've got one right now where they're like not even sure which state they're going to move to. Okay, you can give them an estimated closing cost, some of the ideas that we come up with to kind of flesh that out. You can discuss their new monthly payments and kind of give them a price range that they're considering, maybe using a lender to help you with this, to help them get realistic with you. Then if necessary, show them 3 to 4 current listings in their price range that they're qualified for, so you can see, because most people, they don't move very far. So you may want to even just go out and show them like a buyer so they can get kind of comfortable with the process. You really want to identify and see if they truly are motivated sellers. Watch their faces carefully as you go through those activities of giving them costs and giving them estimates and showing them some properties. That will pretty much flush out for you whether they're going to be a difficult seller or they're going to be pretty easygoing about the process, if they're willing to play with you and actually work with you. But if they're not, they're very vague with you about what's going to happen when their property sells, you got to get much more concrete and analytical with them. Let's go to the next slide. Also watch out for, if we get what we want, fine. If not, we'll just stay here because we don't have to sell. I don't know how many times I've heard that in the changing marketplace, but I'm hearing that a lot now, where I went on the listing appointment, Rochelle, and the seller thinks their home is worth this, and they're just going to stay there if they don't get that price. We hear this a lot because we just came off of a marketplace that was super hot and where they have maybe unrealistic expectations. But these types of things, it tells you a lot about their, I guess, how they think and how they make decisions. And they will often they'll be reluctant to reduce their price if it's overpriced or if it does not sell in their timing. The solution for this is in your first contact or your first meeting, use the seller interview form. We have one on the downloads, again, on our resource website, and unpack their questions and their motivation before you invest too much time and money. Have a Form 18, that's what they use in the Northwest MLS. The other MLSs, they have another price reduction plan that you can use, already filled out and already ready for their signature. Have that ready to go at your listing appointment so that you can just go ahead and take their listing, but then you have a plan to reduce. The other thing to watch out for, they say they're being transferred. I'm hearing this a lot. They're being transferred. Did you ask them some more questions though? This is the part where, as a rookie agent, or maybe somebody who has not experienced this type of marketplace, maybe you didn't ask them enough questions. So if Shannon told me, Rochelle, I'm being transferred, hopefully she's not being transferred because I need Shannon. But if she said it being transferred to another location, did I ask her enough questions, such as, did your partner need to secure employment in order for him to make that move? Sorry about the typo. What will happen if they don't take his transfer? Have you looked at property in your new destination city yet? When do you need to begin the job there? Is the transferee, Shannon, are you willing to start work in the new city and leave your family behind until your home sells? These are super, super good questions you need to start asking. So the solution to, they say they're being transferred and you just kind of leave it at that. The solution should be have the professional confidence to really ask these questions. Many times the potential sellers decide not to take the transfer, and now you've wasted a ton of time. I've taken a lot of risks. Luckily, a lot of them have panned out, but I've heard a lot of you that are on this call, and maybe some of you have not experienced this, that will experience this. You're going to have people that say they're being transferred. They're leaving Seattle, they're leaving Tacoma, they're going to Spokane, they're moving out of state. If they're securing these other types of employment situations elsewhere, ask more questions and have the professional confidence to ask the questions and then listen for their answers. It will help you save money and time. We're seeing people get divorced. COVID sometimes was not good for people. You keep them in-house, and sometimes that boils and some things that gets out of control. We're seeing a lot of that actually. We actually have experience within our team of people that have pretty substantial abuse, and how to deal with that and do it confidential and discreet and have those kind of professional conversations. We do have quite a few brokers on our team at Best Choice Realty that are very, very good at working with attorneys and working with these types of situations. You want to find out, you'll find out that the seller's getting divorced, and that's a red flag. But the possibility exists that one of them is going to buy the other one out. Their attorney may have advised them to get a market analysis, and they're going to reach out to you because you're a real estate broker and they need you. So they're going to basically use you. I'm just going to say it what it is. But they have no intention of actually listing their property with you. They want your free service, or they decide after they've listed that now they're not going to get divorced, and instead they want you to take the home off the market, and you basically have a dead listing. So the solution up front is to ask more questions. Ask them if they've considered buying the other out. There's no harm in asking that question. Proceed with eyes wide open and anticipate that you're going to be doing at least 2 times the work, because you're going to be working with an attorney, or you're working with the other half, or they're going to have some challenging conversations, and you will be in the middle. That is a fact. And you're going to have to relay the message more than twice. So be prepared for more communication. They also are going to tell you as the market transitions that they are going to try it for a little bit of time, and they may want to rent it out. If they give you that indication, you're probably not wanting to spend money at bringing in staging. You're going to want to think about your costs, your hard costs, and determine whether you want to take that risk. Discuss the solution when they say they may want to rent it out, is discuss what you can do for them and what you cannot do for them. As a licensed real estate professional, we do commercial leasing. We do not do property management. We can list up, meaning we could market a listing, but there's all kinds of restrictions that are placed upon us at the Northwest MLS, and some of the things that we can do and can't do by not having a property management division within our firm. Trust me, I thought about it, and I've always come away with thinking, thank goodness we have really good referral partners in various companies. If you need a referral partner, somebody that is good at handling property management, we contract with them, legally binding a referral agreement. We give them that client to manage that property for them. So they manage the property for us and list it up, put it on the marketplace, get a buyer, vet the tenant, vet the situation, do the background check, collect the rent, make sure the property is fully been disclosed, make sure that we comply with the city laws. There's a lot of city laws. And then they give you back the listing when they're ready. Sounds like a pretty good win-win for me. So those types of situations occur when you actually set proper expectations, but go in just like the divorce with eyes wide open. Some motivated responses, I know I'm at the 6 o'clock time, but motivated responses would be, I'm in contract for a new build and we are close to completion. That's motivated. That's a motivated buyer, and that's a motivated seller. I'm being transferred and my new job starts on such and such a day. I lost my job. There was a death in the family. We are expecting a baby. My job allows more flexibility to work from home. These are the types of things that are real life lifestyle happenings that happen. And this is why when people say the market, we're going to have a major crash, I say, okay, but there's still people buying and selling properties every single day in the United States of America. And there are people that are needing to have life changes happen to them, and they're looking for a professional or a consultant to assist them with one of these major life changes. And guess what? We have a lot of experience on this call and throughout our organization. And there's not been really anything that I couldn't take on, or I have not experienced that I could not advise you to take on. So you can rest assured that we can take on just about anything that comes your way. What if you are already committed to an unmotivated seller? Well, there are some symptoms. Your listing is probably getting shown constantly, but there are no offers. It's overpriced. And the reality is you've got to have a plan to deal with that and how to properly communicate that to a seller. The results, your listing, if you don't deal with the unmotivated seller, your listing is going to help sell other properties that are in the marketplace that have better values or that are maybe less time on the marketplace. The sellers are going to demand more of your time, so it's going to suck your time as well. And it's going to damage their reputation, the actual home's reputation on the marketplace. So those are some kind of blunt ways of helping your seller understand if they're kind of resistant to change. You can just share with them, you know what, if we do nothing, what will happen? What would be the results of doing nothing? Well, your listing is going to help sell other properties. You're probably going to have to call me every single day so we can be on the same page. And overall, as the days on market start ticking, the home's reputation is starting to go the wrong direction. And we're going to start chasing the market rather than getting in front of it. So it's better to do something now than to wait. Again, if you have an unmotivated seller, you're like, Rochelle, I just want to cut my losses, I want to move away. That's your business choice. I will respect your business choice, but I do want to have a conversation with you before you ask me to cancel your listing. So let's make sure we are asking the right questions and we are setting the right expectations from the get-go. And that's what I have for tonight. So I'd like to open it up for questions if there are any, Shannon. Hopefully there was a few chats.
And it looks like Deanna specializes in hostile divorces. So,
okay.
You need a referral. Deanna's your girl for something like that.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Deanna, you brought up is, having a co-agent, that's a strong position to be in. I think when you're talking about a marketplace is changing, having a partner, it's interesting. I've done listings myself, and I've done listings with Shannon, and I've done listings with a few others of you on the call. And I can tell you that it's easier when you sometimes co-list because you get a fresh set of eyes and it sometimes shares the load. So yes, you're sharing the cost, the expense, and sometimes the percentage of what you're going to make, but sometimes it's more fun. I'm going to be real with you, than to take a listing with a partner rather than taking all of the risk on your shoulders all yourself. So you need to think about that when you go into a situation. Sometimes it helps to complement, just your style. Maybe your communication style works with the husband and the wife, works better with, say, somebody like Shannon. And it complements that to actually have, a co or have a partner on the listing. There's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, we've actually partnered with other brokerages. Windermere, we have a great relationship with. We've partnered with them on several listings. And we're in the process of even doing some co-branding with some other companies as well to make sure that relationship, that the client is being best served by the brokerage model. So I think that's a strong position, especially when the marketplace starts to shift. If you do want to go ahead and partner with somebody, again, we help you with that. We'll help you partner. If you need a partner, we are happy to even suggest a few ideas to make that work well. Great point, Kathy. I love all you guys that are, we can call you old timers, right, Kathy? I'm an old timer too, but to be honest with your seller, you are totally right. Getting really clear and just being, I think, blunt. I think too many buyer's agents, if you're more of a buyer's agent than a seller's agent, I think that's the difference between a listing agent, as you tend to be more blunt because you've had to have those tough conversations and you're probably more blunt than a buyer's agent. Any other ideas or hints for Homes for Heroes programs? That's a great idea. There are a lot of different types of programs out there. As it would seem, Zillow is making a comeback. They're actually selling some zip codes. We are actually seeing some conversion coming from Zillow. It's kind of like, it's interesting how the marketplace, how it adjusts, and then where people spend their time and their money. Again, you look at your ROI and you look at how you run your business and you figure out what you are good at and what you want to spend your time with. And if you're looking at different prospecting, that's a good idea, Shannon. Circle prospecting is also huge. So hopefully you guys got some ideas tonight. Definitely how to keep your sellers motivated. We need to see less cancellations. Let's see more listings that hit the market who are motivated and that have the right expectations and that we take the right listings. But there is a cost to doing that, and let's make sure that we're giving our all to the sellers that are wanting to work with Best Choice Realty, because I've seen some great listings come on, and those are the ones that we're selling. Having a good month this month. Last month, just like most brokerages, we did see a adjustment, but it's looking like August and September will actually see an increase. So, so just like when there was an adjustment during COVID, right, where we saw that die, we saw the rebound, and it just rebounded even bigger. So I'm expecting that for all of you for August and September. Let's end the Q3 very strong with a lot of activity. And again, if you have any questions at all, you know how to reach me. You can reach me by cell 206-947-0811, text message, or a simple email. I'm certainly happy to help. And you've got a lot of really good people here on the call that you can reach out to as well. Thank you very much and have a great night, you guys.